Friends, Namaskar. Welcome to my YouTube channel Charcha Chaitanya. I have with a Bhanteji who has come all the way from Japan, and he is a leading figure in Buddhist learning and understanding, and he teaches Buddhism in Okayama University, Japan. So I will be sharing his ideas and understanding how does he transform himself to become a Buddhist monk, and his journey from India to Japan for my viewers for a better understanding. So friends, please have a look at the podcast and the discussion with him, and if you have any comments and queries, you can certainly write it in your comment box. So I'll be just requesting Honorable Vantaji to give his introductions and give a brief outline about his understanding about Buddhism and the journey between India and Japan. Vantaji, please give your introduction.
Yes, thank you very much. You have already introduced me, as teaching is my not a career, but it is a passion also. And I have been teaching Buddhism, history, Japanese, English, many subjects, and also sometimes in management. I am heading nowadays that international president for World Buddhist Mission, which is located in Japan. And we have branches in India also, and also in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia too. So far, my journey starts as a Buddhist monk. This was the influence of Buddha Gaya, where I was a student in Magad University, and I also taught nearly 10 years from 80 to 1989 in the Magad University in the Department of History. So both due to influence, and that was a time we used to discuss with Dalai Lama ji, just like we are sitting here today. And we had the professor like Dr. Upendra Thakur, Dr. Mahesh Sharan, Dr. Arsa Tulku, who was also a Tibetan by origin. So those time we were also discussing about the Buddhism. So the teaching at the Department of History and Ancient Indian and Asian Studies, plus discussions with Dalai Lama and many group of people who were interested in Buddhism. And also there was an association, IABS, International Association for Brotherhood Association, which has a every year at the end of the year conference at local Japanese temple. So there we used to meet all the scholars from Japan and Korea, China, Vietnam. So that make me, of course, from India, almost people were India pros. So that make me to learn. And then in 1975, I became first time as a Samaner, and I practiced as a Samaner. Later on, under the Sarnath, there is a temple of the Mahabodhi Society, where I adorned Buddhism as my faith. But Buddhism is nothing, actually, if you go in the deeper knowledge, there is no differentiation for Hindu and this one, but the political points are there. Yeah, that is going on. So Buddha wanted to have a society without caste, creed, and the boundaries of the nation. So this is quite different. He wanted to have a society based on the equality. And to live a life of the medium way, medium path, Madhya Marg. So these things I found that these are very unique things, which has nothing to do with the Hindu, Muslim or Christian or this one. So I thought this is the best faith to know, because the Buddha says that you should not carry my words on your shoulder like we carry the corpse from our place when he dies to the graveyard. So he shows that if you feel these words are good for you and the society, you accept. But if it is not suits, don't have to follow anything. So that is the great principle, and that's it. And there is a, if you go in Buddhism, that has been we find a division of Theravada, Mahayana, but there is a, Buddha never divided it. We divided it as a Buddhism, Theravada, Mahayana, and all Tantrayana, all these practices. Of course, he taught everything. So in my words, he taught everything, but he taught nothing. That means you have to learn yourself, appadipo bhava. So you have to be the master of your own. What Buddha said is not important. You have to see that one, what he said, and then concentrate it, and then meditate on that, and then you do your Buddhist practices. So that was my journey from that, the beginning of the journey in Buddhism. And then I started going to the different conferences on national and international level. In first international conference out of India was 1983. There was a CISAN Congress, 31st CISAN Congress. It was in the Tokyo, and also half part was in the Kyoto. So that was also very important in 1983. Then we came across of scholars in that conference. That also influenced me to study more and more about Buddhism. So Buddhism is the way of living, the medium way of living. So it is not, if people say that religion, okay, let them say. But that is the way of living, middle way, Madhyamarg. So that is very important in Buddhism. So that's it of the question of your first question.
Yes, Bhanteji, you are correct. Buddhism is a way of life, and it has nothing to do with religion. But certainly, if you visited to Japan, is there any special attraction because of which you shifted to Japan and you are living in Japan since last 40 years? And what are the bridging between these two civilizations, between these two countries, or if you compare the Indian kind of Buddhism and the Buddhism in Japan, what are the aspects you would like to share with my viewers by which they'll have a clarity on Buddhism, what is being practiced in Japan, and Buddhism, the state of Buddhism in India?
Well, when we talk Buddhism in India, in my eyes, it has been divided in 3 chapters broadly. That first one, it is the Theravada, which they renamed as the Hinayana. Then there is a Mahayana, and then Tantrayanas. And now there is another Buddhism that is, we say, that which is on the Dr. Ambedkar's way. So Ambedkar right Buddhism, which is nothing Buddhism. So there is a division all we made. There is nothing. Buddha says just Buddhayana. So we divide according to our choice. Japanese Buddhism is a practical Buddhism. What Buddha has taught, we say in Japan in a practical way. For example, I'm sitting here near the table and I hit the table. So what will happen? I will be angry with the table and I will kick it to the table to go little ahead because my anger is with the table. But this table I kept, not the table came here, and I hit the table, which is my carelessness. So in Japan, they will say sorry to the table because due to that particular person's, so due to the negligence or due to the carelessness that touched the food, and this was the pain to the table. So they will say sorry to him. But in our action will be the different. So that's the particularity. And another way is that we force here to accept. So what the teaching Buddha gave, we find it a practical Buddhism. The people are not thinking of their own self, but they are always ready to help the other people. So most important is to help the others and see the facility of other people first, where I'm not criticizing India, but here we feel our facility first, then the facility for the others. So that is the main differentiation you can find. So when you come to Japan, you will find many things. For example, if you ask someone, I have to go there. So even they are very busy, they can leave their own work and they will try to help you and go to your destination, how to help you. So that is most important and a practical way of Buddhism. What we have the theory we study here, they have the practical way.
But there is a concept called mindfulness in today's perspective, and the mindfulness is largely discussed in the context of secular uh, point of view. How do you look at mindfulness in the context of Buddhism? Because it has a deep philosophical nuances which guided the life of the people. So, how do you look at mindfulness in present context, specifically from a Buddhist perspective?
Well, before you go for mindfulness, the most important, what is mind? In the words of the Buddha, Mano Pubangama Dhamma, Mano Chitta Manomaya. So mind is a forerunner. So you have to control the mind. Even I'm sitting here in front of you in your campus in Lucknow, but my mind can be in Japan or in other places, or maybe in Buddha Gaya where I just come from. So that thing is that to mindfulness is the thing, whatever we are doing with the whole heart we do. Our mind is have to be concentrate on, or what you say, the meditate on the point what we are doing. That the best solution in Japan is the Zazen. When we are sitting and concentrating our mind and that mindfulness, whatever you do in the Jain practices, suppose we are cooking, so we cook, not only cooking, before the cooking we have to prepare something, like suppose we are making the vegetable, so vegetable curry, then we have to chop the onion, chop the vegetables, chop this one. So even chopping system we have to completely whatever doing up to the last. So we have to do that full with the wholeheartedly. That is the mindfulness. So whatever you are doing, if you are studying, you do up to the last. Whatever you are doing, so doing the things up to last with the full attention, that is the mindfulness. It is no other than you can define. So mind is very important and it's a forerunner. So what we have explained in the Dhampad, the very first verse start with the Dhampad, and that tells that. So controlling mind is very important. And whenever whatever things you are doing, you're driving a car, you're writing some thesis, you are writing so everywhere you need a mindfulness, whatever the things, with the wholeheartedly and with the whole thing when you are doing that work. So that is the mindfulness in my words. So there will be a definition, many in the, if you go to encyclopedia, if you go to that any other dictionary. But in a practical way, whatever we do up to last with the wholeheartedly. That is my mindfulness.
Mataji, the point I'm trying to just know, because this is the era of digitalizations, this is era of globalizations, this is era of competitiveness, and in that particular context, actually there is a rat race among people. How an ordinary person can practice mindfulness in the day-to-day life, by which he can make his life much more perfect. Specifically, a Buddhist way of life he can do by following the mindfulness.
In my practical way, the Zazen, what is the sitting meditation, in one of the important sections. Another will be the walking meditation, which is also you can get it in a Vipassana. There are many ways of meditation. So meditation can only give you a solution. Without meditation, and also the Jain is coming from the dhyana of the old Pali literature. So this teaching was given to the China by Bodhidhamma, and that when it came in China as a Chang, and again when the followers of the Chang, they carry this teaching to Japan, and that it became the Jain. So that originally it is all the dhyana by the Bodhidhamma. So that there is a Important is that if you do Jain practices, that will change your life, your way of thinking, your way, all the things. So what I have practiced and I found it is a very important for a person to have the meditation is very important. Whether he is a Hindu or where is Islam, where is a Christian, because I have few followers which are belonging to all these sects and they do that one and they feel it really works because in America also they are actually that Buddhism and the Jain is telling that ultimate goal is to get nibbana, but American people saying nibbana they get or not, but they have so many stress and strain in their life, they just take meditation as a way to make themselves calm and a source of happiness.
Bhanteji, the point I'm trying to just know, there is a mindfulness movement in Western societies. What are the difference between the mindfulness movement in the West and the mindfulness in the original Buddhist way? Is there any difference between these two, and where we can see that the Western mindfulness movement and the original Buddhist way of mindfulness, is there any difference, is there any similarity, or they practice different kind of mindfulness movement in the West?
Different scholars might have different view, but in my view there is no difference between the Western mindfulness or Indian mindfulness. A mindfulness is a mindfulness. In practical way, whatever you do, as earlier in discussion I told you, you have to do any work full-heartedly and up to the last. So that is the mindfulness. Whatever we are talking now, also we have to keep the mindfulness. What I have, because when you go to the Buddha's teaching, there is a samyak vacha. So he has given the Ashtangic mark. So when you study the Ashtangic mark, you get the whole answer. So whatever we are speaking, we have to think what we are going to speak, what is going to affect to the listener. So that is also important. Before speaking, we have to think. That is also a mindfulness. When we are using our mind, what we speak, what we write, how to call a people good or bad names. So every action will have a reaction. So that we have to concentrate whatever we are speaking, that is going to give adverse or the pro idea. So that is very important. So you have to go with the Ashtangic mark of Buddha. That will also help you to concentrate on the mindfulness.
Bhanteji, the entire world, there is a lot of crisis, there is ecological issues, and there is war. So in the context of the entire world, actually, Buddhism is seen as a only source where peace can be preached and practiced. So in this particular context, what are the teachings of Lord Buddha can guide the entire world to have a peace, a harmonious, ecologically very balanced kind of society? What are the teachings of Buddha we should preach and practice in our day-to-day life, by which we can develop a compassionate world or have a very balanced way of life and resolve the ecological crisis and issues, and also to come out from the kind of conflict and the kind of war situations? Please guide us that how the world should look at Buddhism and get the solution to come out of these issues.
Well, what I said you in the beginning, what the Buddhism, the main principle of Buddhism is harmony. And in the world there is no harmony till now. The whole world has divided into two chapters. One is ruled by chapter A and one is ruled by chapter B. So unless and the sales of arms and ammunition has become a business for many countries. So unless that is not being end, there is no peace, because this is going to divide the world into pieces, not peace. So unless we stop the war in the world, And that can be only done by surrendering the arms and ammunition, which I don't feel it's going to happen in this decade, because everybody by mouth is telling they need the peace, but they are doing the peace of the country. You go to Iran, Iraq, you go India, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, you go any country, the whole world, there is a fight between the brotherly countries. Just next door, there is always fighting. They're always fighting. Whether it is Russia, there is so everywhere. You cannot say particular country. Everywhere is a, unless the society's discrimination is not finished. Whether it is a big country or a small country, everywhere there is a. So unless you don't do the harmony, the thing, it is not only the government job. This is all the social problem, the social, there is a department of social justice, department of minister of social justice, other thing. But unless they do in the practical way, there is no way that you can imagine the peace. Just by speaking by mouth, peace is not going to create a theory, a social, and that whatever you say, climate is condition is also due to what? You are sitting here today, you are feeling hot. Why you are feeling hot? Because there is a many arms and ammunition, and they have taken out so many gases and these and the heat. So where the heat will go? Even in October, November, I remember that we used to have a suit or a sweater on our body, but here now we cannot. Why? Because so many heat products has been taken place in the whole world. So due to that, the whole world is heating, the whole world is burning. Rather, not only heating, it is burning. So for that, from there, you have to stop these nuclear weapons or the practices of that harmony. So unless that is not there, we cannot control the climate. We are destroying the nature, so nature will destroy to us. Even you go to the theory of the Newton's theory, also the third law. When you do something, action will have the reaction. So we are cutting the forest is going to cut us. We are doing the destruction by the atomic war, so that atom will destroy us. So there is no way. So the climate will be changing. This will be, every change, we are responsible, because we are creating that arms and emotion. So whatever we do, we will have. Because Buddha explains very simple way. If we grow the mango tree, what we will get? We get the mango. We cannot imagine an apple or tamarind from the mango tree. So the things, when we are not going to stop the destruction of the nature, environmental, so we cannot think about this a cool weather. So this is all we have done, and we will, whatever you will show, you will get the result. So this is all done by us, and we have to suffer. Suffering is the way of life. So for these sufferings, we have to think how to disarmament the whole world. That is the only way we can go for the peace.
Vanteji, your university is very close to the Japan's devastation site, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What is the basic practices specifically in Japan, because they follow Buddhism, and how the people there, and specifically the youth, look at this particular global incidents which has devastated Japan long back. We used to study from history book. Then what kind of message, or if you make a comparison between the youth today here in India and the youth in Japan, specifically the devastating kind of incident which happened long back, how the people in Japan and in India think about it, specifically youth, and what kind of message would like to give it to them as far as war is concerned, as far as nuclear weapon is concerned, as far as ecological crisis is concerned. What is the condition between these two country, and specifically the message you would like to give to the youth and the present generation?
Actually, your question is too many questions in one question, which is very difficult to answer at once. So as even the Hiroshima and Nagasaki has a long distance. So situation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was also different. So the bombarding was done. Also there was a cause. So Buddha's Patisamutpad Sutta is the important which you read, and then you will find that every cause there is an effect. So whatever the effect, it will. So that was so many years has passed. So still there is the people are getting suffered. So the child is still there. Handicapped childs are coming out, and so youth can have a conference and this and that. That is not going to do the solution unless the world, which is divided into chapters, becomes one chapter, and they promise not to create a nuclear weapon, nuclear war, and unless that is not stopped, we cannot think of the development of youth. And India's situation is different. Japan's situation is different. India has not seen that devastation. So the Indian youth cannot imagine the devastation they have suffered. We just can read from the book or see on the YouTube or these things. But basically what they lost a lot of things. Not only the houses, not the factory, even the Hiroshima was a good industrial place. So there are many things we can. The situations, it depends on the situation, and the situation of the two countries is quite different. So you cannot imagine, the Indian youths cannot imagine because they have not gone through that process of the loss. And Japan, every year, many association always say like the peace prevail on earth, then SGI and many associations are there, and they are talking. Always they have the conference, and also on the Hiroshima day, always there is a conference, and they promise no war, no nuclear war, no more war. The thing is that is you have to so if you told that Indian situation and Japanese situation is different, so youth of India cannot test what they have tested in Japan practically. So still we are getting the handicapped childs and this one. So now we don't use the word handicap, that is the physically challenged persons are coming. Still they are coming and they have to suffer. So that's all. And you have many questions in one cell. So in a nutshell, the situation of the two countries is different because we have not seen that devastation in India, but we have seen that devastation in Japan. So both country youth has a different idea.
Bhanteji, how do you conceptualize peace? Because there are situations where peace building measures are taking place. United Nations also plays a very important role to go for peacekeeping, and the entire world look at Buddha and Buddhism. I think that is the only religion and that is the only way of life which can provide peace to the entire world. So what are the basic things you will suggest by which peace can actually be established in day-to-day life of people across the globe, and the global message what would like to suggest by which we can establish peace on this earth, and people can live a very harmonious life with the environment, with their animals, with their ecological fragile zones. So I think the solution somewhere lies with Buddhism. The entire world look at Buddha and Buddhism. So please guide us how to establish peace in this world where a lot of problems and issues are there.
Actually, Professor, you are repeatedly asking the same question in many times. I told you peace cannot be done unless there is nuclear things are here. Disarmament will be the one important issue. Unless we are not disarmament, we cannot think of the peace. Another thing is that the Buddha's first principle is itself is a loving kindness. And when there is no loving kindness, you cannot imagine of the peace. So there is also that context in the Buddhist teachings. Buddha has given a lot of teachings, but the whole concentration is that one of the harmonious life, loving kindness, and respect to each other. In our society, respect has gone. Not so many, even the teacher is not respecting their students. So that will also, and the groupism and many factors are there. There is not only one factor what you want to remember. So there is the most important is disarmament, and the theory of Buddha, that which is loving kindness, should grow. And this teaching not only university, but you have to go in the villages, you have to teach from the villages, because you are sitting in the university. University is the last excuse. You have to go in the remote villages and teach about Buddhism, which you don't do. There is no way just talking on the radio, television, newspaper. This is just one way to highlight yourself. But if you really want to do for peace, you have to go in the root of the society, which is in our village or in the communities. You have to go and tell about the Buddha's teaching. Even Buddha's 3 teachings, you don't have to go for the all teachings Buddha, because Buddha has many textbooks. Tripitakas is there, then Dhammapada is there, this is there. You just concentrate on 3 points, that the 3 Sharan, Panchsil. Even that 2 things, if you follow, that Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami, or in the Panchasila you are going to Panatipata, Veramani, Shikhapadam, Samadhiyami. Even you stop killing to the people. That is the very first one, disarmament comes out there. Then Adinadana Veramani, in Japan you will find even you left something, even you come tomorrow, your things are lying there. Nobody has touched this one. So those things, they have I told you that in Japan there is a practical things. But here we are clean, we want to clean. So we have just, you left your mobile here sitting. So if I thought I will take your mobile and clean here, because we don't like the dirtiness. So that is there. So then, and the whole society is suffering from that one. What is the third teaching of the Buddha? Is till Kame Sumi Chachara Veramani Shikhapadam Samadhiyam. So the whole society is suffering with the this adultery, and so if adultery is even stopped, you can have a change in society. The whole killing and all this one in what you say, the quarrel in the house and quarrel in the society, that is also there. And Mushavada is also one important, where they say that we start lying from morning to evening. So that will also that. And what you say, the mindfulness, if you take the intoxication, your mind gets bad. So Sura Mere Majjapama Dattana Veramani Shikhapadam Samadhiyami. So these things, that not to take the intoxicant, also give you a nice way for mental health and yourself. So that's it for the day. Thank you.
Bhanteji, the last question would be, a very hypothetical question. If Lord Buddha would have been alive today, by looking at this world, what would be his reactions? This would be the last questions, and it's very hypothetical questions, because there are so many things and we are living in a modern world. What Buddha would have been said by looking at this present context, present world?
The most important is, who told Buddha is not here? Buddha is always here. Buddha never dies, because Buddha is not a particular man. We are all representing Buddha. And that is the Jain philosophy of the sudden awakening. So anybody can get what we in say Japanese satori. So anybody can achieve the satori. You can become Buddha. Buddha always said, by going, if you come to the enlightenment day, the Buddha explains that I got this Buddhahood or enlightenment by going through the path of our past Buddha. Because if you go in the Pali, you say, E cha Buddha atita cha, E cha Buddha anagata, pachupanna cha e Buddha aham bandami sabada. So Buddha is not this Buddha or a particular man who died and finished. Still, so that's Buddha's teaching is going on. So that is the liveliness of the Buddha.
Thank you very much, Bhanteji, for your kindness and coming us here and enlightening my viewers about peace, about the relevance of Buddhism today, and how we lead a very simple life by which we can bring harmony, peace in society, and be a real Buddhist in your day-to-day life. Friends, I hope this discussion would be very useful to you all, and if you have any queries and comments, certainly please put it in the comment box, and we'll be very happy to answer your queries. And please do like and subscribe this particular channel. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Thank you very much, Bhanteji, for
Thank
your
you.
time and kindness.
Okay, Namo Buddhaya.
Namo.
That is my idea. So it can be different from your idea. So don't have to follow my ideas. You have your own mind. So you think on these points also from your point of view. That is what I have seen, what I tested. I give you my idea. My idea can be different from your ideas. So don't tell that what I have given you, that will be your idea also. So please, whatever you are thinking, keep your thinking alive. Don't have to go with my thinking. So that's it. Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you very much and namaskar.